The problem with suffering is not suffering in itself. The problem is the lack of responsibility. It's the lack of shame, the lack of guilt. When we feel guilt, that motivates us to take responsibility. And guilt and shame is tied together. So when we do something bad, then we also might feel bad. But if we lack guilt, we lack responsibility, then we also ignore our own lack of worth. We ignore the fact that we feel worthless. That is also a lack of responsibility, like taking responsibility for our own lack of worth, our own feeling of being broken, our negligence of our emotions in general. So if someone does something to harm another person, intentionally or unintentionally, it doesn't matter. If harm is done, one person harms another person, or a group of people harms another group of people, then that suffering is not just passed on, but it is multiplied. The suffering over here in one person is projected onto another person. That person might internalize it and feel even more shame about themselves, even more worthlessness. Or they might go on and harm someone else. And then the shame continues to grow. The suffering continues to grow. The shame continues to be suppressed, not released, not talked about, not expressed, which is why, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, because shame is thriving in the hidden. And so to actually access our healthy shame, we need to access our unhealthy shame. We need to access our suppressed shame. We need to face the fact that we don't feel good enough. We need to face the suffering that we feel by being who we are. We need to face the suffering that we cause other people. We need to face the suffering that we have been subjected to. If we don't, then it multiplies. It's projected outwards. It's internalized. It eats us up inside. Shame in itself is not unhealthy. Shame in itself is a very healthy emotion. We actually don't see it much. We don't see healthy shame much. But it's just an emotion to remind us that we're human, remind us that we have limits. We're not God. We're not above humans, and we're not below humans. We're not less than humans or more than humans. It reminds us that we're equal. It reminds us to keep our place, keep the peace, not in an unhealthy way, but keep the balance in society. We all have our spot. Like we all belong, and shame is also a way that we are reminded that we're not more worth than other people or less worth than other people. But the unhealthy shame, the feeling of brokenness and worthlessness, that we're beneath other people, that can be, internalized, or it can be suppressed in a way where we're not aware of the fact that we feel so worthless. So instead, we have to build this giant persona that is godlike, so that we can balance out that feeling of worthlessness with this huge grandiose persona that shows the world, I am more. I am godlike. I am more than human. I am. I have more rights. I am. I'm proud. Like the pride becomes extreme. It's not just I'm proud of being me. I'm proud of what I do. Like, it's not pride with this healthy shame. It is pride with only pride. It is pride with unhealthy shame. And it is pride with shamelessness. And it is like this force that just powers through. Like, I want to get ahead and I'm better than others, and this self-righteousness. And we see that so much in this time. This is just a sign of so much toxic shame, so much unhealthy shame, so many people being shame based. It is actually a representation of how little control people feel they have. So they they have to build all these defenses against the lack of control, defenses against the lack of worth that they feel. And this is not to um, defend them, but it just shows that every cause of the suffering comes from shame, and it comes from not not admitting that we don't feel good enough, not admitting to ourselves that we feel pain, not and also not admitting to ourselves the reality in which we're in. It is a denial of our reality. Because the same way as if you believe that you're less than, if you believe you're broken, you're worthless, that is not reality. You're denying the reality that you're actually worthy and you do belong, just as much as you're denying reality when you believe that you're equal to God, or you were worth more than other people and you deserve more rights than other people, and other people are below you. And when you have this mindset, it's easy to harm others. You have you have fragmented your own suffering. You have fragmented your own toxic shame. So everyone else are the ones that are worthless. Everyone else is the problem. This is also why we see it in narcissism. This lack of shame, lack of guilt, is actually very common. You don't have to have narcissistic personality disorder. You can be on the spectrum of being more narcissistic, more on the narcissistic end, more on the grandiose end, without having the personality disorder. This is just what we see in humans. Either you're on that end of the spectrum, or you're on the other end of the spectrum, or you're in between somewhere. But we see that a lot. People that lack shame, people that harm others, that don't take responsibility, don't feel shame, don't feel guilt. Instead, everyone else is the problem. And they'll be backed up by other people who are similar, have that similar attitude towards life, that, it is everyone else who's the problem. And always rationalizing everything, always finding reasons behind everything. If someone abuses someone, then it's because they had a bad childhood. It's because they're the victim, or whatever. Like, they'll find excuses for that abuse, for that harm, instead of taking responsibility, instead of feeling shame. When you hear someone harming someone else, it's natural to feel shame on behalf of that person. Feel like, how could someone do that? Like, that is wrong. So shame also tells us something about what is right and wrong. It is our moral compass in a way. And so when we lack that, that becomes dangerous, because that suffering is never brought up to the surface. We never deal with it. We never take responsibility for it. We try to create defenses for it. We try to suppress it. We try to build these personas, these egos, to prevent ourselves from feeling what we're feeling. And the suffering just goes on and on and on and on. Like, if no one stops, if no one says, this ends with me, like, I'm going to start taking responsibility for the harm that was done to me, and for the things that I have done to other people, for the harm that I've done to other people, then that harm, that suffering, it just keeps going. It just keeps looping. It affects us on a collective plan, because the more that is suppressed, the more suffering there is. The more suffering you suppress, the more suffering there is. You think that if you bring it to the surface and you become conscious of it, then that is the hard part. But the hard part is not bringing it to the surface and being conscious of it and dealing with it, because that is how you end it. That is how you avoid multiplying it. But when you suppress it, you're multiplying it. It's growing, 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 because you're projecting it, or you're internalizing it, and it's eating yourself up inwards, and it affects your behavior. It affects how you treat yourself, treat other people. The toxic shame is not just, it's keeping you small. You're trotting on yourself. You're putting yourself down, and you're also sending that signal to other people that I'm someone to put down, I'm someone to harm. So we all have a responsibility to heal the toxic shame, to start to actually feel the healthy shame, to bring the healthy shame, bring the healthy guilt in, to take responsibility for the things that we do, and not take responsibility for the things that we didn't do. It's also about when you're being blamed for something that you didn't do. It's also a way to project that suffering onto someone else, and then they can deal with it. That's why we see people that never deal with the suffering, and then we see people who are being harmed that has to deal with it, because they're the ones on the receiving end. They have to bring it to the surface. They have to feel it, because otherwise they're gonna pass it on, or they're gonna internalize it. They're gonna, become addicts, or they're gonna have to use all of these different things in order to cope with it, or in order to suppress it, or in order to deal with it. We need to start taking responsibility, but also hold other people responsible, hold other people accountable. When we see someone do something harmful to others, to stop apologizing or defending it, to just accept the fact that bad things happen. People harm people. You don't have to be a psychopath in order to harm other people. You don't have to be a bad person in order to harm other people. We all have the ability to harm others, and we're all to some extent responsible for harming others. And so if we continue to shift the blame or find excuses, and always like look at all the fragments, instead of actually just dealing with the fact that someone here is harming someone and someone here is being harmed. Okay, this one needs to take responsibility for what they've done. This one also needs to feel what was done to them, so they won't pass it on. This person also needs to feel it, and not suppress it, not ignore it, not try and excuse it, or not try and victim blame themselves, or try to justify the person who harmed them. Like, we both need to face the reality of what is happening. Otherwise, the suffering is just gonna continue to grow and grow and grow and grow.